Hey, it's Metal Matthew coming at you with another video. Today I'm going to show you how to figure out the combination to any of these master locks with one of these dials, right? This method works best with these dials that have all numbers. Now, it may work with the ones with the letters on it. I haven't tested on it. It should work in the theory. I don't know because I don't have one to test with and I never actually tried to play with one, but the theory should be relatively the same. And I also don't know if it works for non-master locks such as Brinks or whatever have other ones that have dials like this. I can't see it being that much different, but there again, I don't know. I don't have them to play with. Now this lock I actually have the combination to because I just bought it for this video. But that doesn't matter if it's brand new, if it's old, you know, this still going to work just the same. Now also note that this will only work on locks that you own. So either you bought, someone gave to you. This will not work on other people's locks. So if that's what you're watching this video for, it won't work. So let's get started. What do we need? Well, obviously we need the lock in question itself that we don't know the combination to. Okay, what else do we need? We need some type of writing equipment and a piece of paper. And we'll get to why we need that in a bit, but that's pretty much all we need. And a little bit of time and patience. That's pretty much everything we need for today. So what we're going to do is take the 64,000 possible combinations, or 64,001, I forget what it is. We're going to cut that down to 100 possible combinations, and with any luck, we should be able to knock that down to 8. So 8, even if you're doing those at 30 seconds a piece, you're looking at 4 or 5 minutes tops, right? After you've done all your prep work. So let's switch angles, and I'll show you how to start this process. What we're going to need to do is we're going to first, with our unknown combination lock, we're going to need to find the last number in the combination. Well, so you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I find the last digit if I don't even know any of them? There's 40 numbers that it could be. You know, like, what am I supposed to do? Just pick a random number? All right, that's what it is? No. There is a scientific method to it. The way Master designs their locks, there's specific grooves built into the dial that we're going to be able to pinpoint and find out some information from the way it acts, right? So first what we're going to do is we're going to set our arrow to 0, okay? So once we have that at 0, what we're going to do is we're going to put tension on the shackle, right? Which is this loopy part right here. Now I think I found it the best to hold it with your non-dominant hand and use your index finger to put maximum tension on the shackle. Now there's a little bit of play, not a whole bunch, but that's all we really need. It's just that couple millimeters of play in it, right? If you want to add more by adding your thumb and your middle finger, go ahead, right? So now, once we have that at full tension, what we're going to do is start rotating the dial to an upward position, 0 to 1, whatever. And what we're going to notice is there's going to be a point where the dial can't move anymore. This is all it can go right now. And if you notice, the arrow is either at 1 or at 2, right? This is pretty much the extent of the play. There's a nice little valley there. So what can we determine from that? Now this is one of 12 possible places that it can stop at this with full tension on it. And we can use that to determine from those 12 spots which is the last digit in this combination. And from there we can figure out the first possible number and the second possible number. So what we're going to do is, since this goes between 1 and 2, what we're going to do is we're going to write that number down. Now we're not going to write 1/2. What we're going to do is write down 1.5, right? We're going to write 1.5. So there's a reason behind the 0.5s, and what you'll quickly notice is once you go around the dial, you'll find 7 numbers that are half numbers like this, right? They're going to be numbers that we're actually going to throw away at the end. So like I said, there's 12 spots where it's going to stop. 7 of those we know we're going to throw away. So we're left with 5 numbers. And of those 5 numbers, you'll quickly be able to determine that there's a pattern. And of those 5, you can throw away the 4 of them. And you're left with 1, which is going to be your last one. But I'm getting ahead of myself, right? So we already found that 1.5 is a possible, well, it's a throwaway number, right? So what we're going to do is once we found out, you know, the first one, in this particular case, it stops at between 1 and 2. So we write that as 1.5. So what we're going to do is let the tension go, rotate a little bit past 2 so it doesn't get stopped there anymore. And we're going to put full tension back on it again, right? And we'll keep rotating until this happens, right? Now, if you notice where the arrow is, it stops at 4.5 and 5.5, right? So what we're going to do is take the middle of that, which is 5, right? So that's a whole number. That's one of the important 5 numbers that you're going to be looking at that is going to determine what your last digit is, right? So you keep going around and you can find all 12 numbers. In this case, it stopped again between 7. It stopped between 7.5 and 8.5, right? So we'll write that down as 8. And what you'll notice is I already went ahead and I did all the hard work for you, right? This particular lock give me all 12 possible combinations. So there's going to be 7 of these half numbers, 1.5, there's 11.5, 14.5, so on and so forth. And like I said, those 7 numbers, you can pretty much throw them away. You're not going to be using them. You're going to be using just your whole numbers. So you're going to be using just your whole numbers, right? And if you look at that, you should be able to determine that there is a direct pattern, right? There's 5, 8, 18, 28, and 38, okay? So what do you notice out of that? Well, 4 of those numbers all end in 8, right? None of those 8s are going to be in the last digit. That's not going to be your last number in your combination. It's going to be 5. 5 is, in this particular case, 5 is definitely going to be our last number. If we want, you can write down, 5 is definitely going to be your last digit, right? Or 5 is your last digit, right? So what can we do with that information? All right. So now comes into the fact that there's a little bit of math involved. I'm sorry, it's just that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this number, our last number, and we're going to divide it by 4. I don't know why 4. 4 just happens to be the number you're going to get, right? So when you take 5 and you divide that by 4, what we're going to get is 1 with a remainder of 1, right? We want the actual remainder number. This is the number that we're going to look at. This is what's going to determine the other 2 numbers and possible numbers in the combination. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take that remainder, whatever it is. It's either going to be 0, 1, 2, or 3. Those are only possible numbers that it's going to be. And that's going to, like I said, that's going to help determine your first and second digits of this combination. First possible combinations, or first possible numbers, right? We're going to take our remainder, in this case it's 1, and we're going to start at 1 and increase our possible combinations by 4. So we're going to go 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 29, 33, 37. So one of these 10 possible combinations is the first possible number. So you can go ahead and go through that, right? And so we know it's going to be one of those 10 plus the 5 is definitely going to be the last one in this particular case, right? So we have the first 10 possible combinations. Now, how do we find the second possible 10 combinations? Because I said we're going to find the 100 possible combinations. So once we know the 10 possible first combinations, we're going to return to our remainder number, okay? Now, this is where it gets a little bit more tricky, and just pay attention, you'll get it. Now, depending on if this is 0, 1, 2, or 3, your remainder number, you're going to add or subtract 2 depending on where it is. So if it's 0 or 1, you're going to add 2 to that number. If it's 2 or 3, you're going to minus 2 from that number, right? Or if you have a remainder of 0, your new number is going to be 2. If it's a remainder of 1, the new number is going to be 3. Remainder of 2, it's going to be 0. 3 is 1. Or, you know, so this is plus 2, minus 2, minus 2. I hope that is not too confusing, right? So whatever your new number is how you're going to figure out your second number in the combination. Okay, so once we do that, so we already figure out the remainder is 1. So we're going to start with 3, and we're going to repeat the process to find the second number, right? So now we have 3, 7, 11, 15, 19, 23, 27, 31, 35, and 39. So now we have all possible 10 combinations, all right? I'm sorry, we have all 100 possible combinations to this lock. From there, you can stop and you can try all 100 or up to 100, and that's going to cut you down time dramatically from, you know, the 64,000 possible combinations. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, that's cut it down some, yes. Is there a way that we can cut it down further? Well, yes, there is a way, and it takes a little bit of practice, but I think you should be able to get it no problem. Okay. So there is a design flaw feature, I'm not quite sure how you wanted to describe it, in the master lock itself, right? So in order to mass produce these locks, there are 2 cam dials within here. So whenever you turn this, you'll hear eventually, you know, you'll hear things kind of line up, and you're moving 2 cam discs plus your front plate at the same time. So in order to help mass produce these locks, what they do, these 2 dials that are inside, which, you know, if you cut it apart you'd see, they're exactly the same, but the back one has an unnecessary notch on it that we're going to use that to exploit the first number in the series, and then we're going to knock that down to 10. So we're going to knock that down to 10, and then I'll show you quickly how to knock down 2 without even doing anything. So what we're going to do, and this is going to take a little bit of practice, but what you want to do is put medium tension on there. You don't want to put so much that it locks into place, and if you don't put enough, it's going to spin freely, right? So there's that happy medium in there, and you really have to go by feel, right? So when we first started this, we went up in numbers. You know, we went from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and so on and so forth. But what we're going to do this time is we're going to reset our numbers, and we're going to go back to 0, okay? Now we're going to put our medium tension on there, and like I said, you really have to get a feel for it. There's not, you know, it's 3 millimeters, it's 1.5 millimeters. You know, it's a feel thing, right? So you're going to slowly start rotating, and then you'll eventually feel a resistance point. If you don't feel a resistance point, you don't have enough tension on there, which I don't have. So you put a little bit more tension on there, and there's going to be a time, and it still needs a little bit more tension into it. That's why I say it's a feel thing. You can't describe it that well. Too much and it's going to lock into place, right? well, you'll feel pretty much every rotation when you come to a certain spot, there's going to be some tension in it. So I'm feeling tension right around the 27 mark, right? Now, like I said, if I keep going around, every time I come back to this 27 in this particular case, I feel tension in it. Now, what's happening there is that's picking up on the first cam. All right, I'm gonna try to crudely draw this, but there is, all right, let's see, something like that, right, inside this lock, and you got your cams, something like that, right? So when you're rotating it like this, what you're doing is you're picking up on that dial's defect of an unnecessary node in it, right? So once you do that, once you find out where it is, like I said, in this case, it's right around 27, okay? So what that's saying is that's where the opening for the first number is. Now, it's not going to be where you find it. In this case, it's not going to be 27. I'm sorry, it's not. You're not catching on here. You're catching on like this node, which is like right around there, give or take. It's as it's coming around, it's hitting the piece that actually opens up the lock. I think that's the direction of it. It could be here. I kind of forget. But so what you're doing is you're trying to figure out where the valley on your cam is going to fit in with the unlocking mechanism of the lock, right? I forget the total names of them, but so from there, there's a little bit of math involved, but we went ahead and figured it out. It figures out to be, you're going to, once you find out where you're going to find your resistance, you're going to add 5.7 to whatever number you find resistance to, right? In this case, we're finding about 27 resistance point, right? Give or take. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 5.7 to the 27, which gives us 32.7. Now, obviously, there's not a 32.7 on here, but what we end up doing is we round that number up, which is going to give us 33. So 33 is going to be your first number in this combination. We know the last one is 5, right? So right now we've already knocked it down to 10 with a little bit of work. Now you can easily knock out, you can just go ahead and do those 10, or you can knock out 2 more possibilities right from the get-go. In addition to those nodes helping finding the first digit, it also eliminates 2 numbers from the second digit, and those are the numbers that are within 2 of your last digit, right? So our last digit's going to be 5, so that's automatically going to knock out 3 and 7 because they're 2 away from the your last digit. It's like I said, they can't be too close to each other. So right now we're looking at 33 and 8 different numbers, right? So 11, 15, 20, 19, 23, 27, 31, 35, and 39. So one of those 8 possible combinations is the combination to this lock. So if we go ahead, reset our dial, right? And we're gonna go to, and right now it's just a trial and error, right? You're gonna have to plug those in. And we're going to go 33. I'm sorry, I did that backwards. It's right, left, right. So we're going to find our 33, and then we're going to find the next one, right? So this is, in this case, it's 11. So we're going to go past our 11 once, And we're gonna go to 11 again. And then we're gonna come back to our 5. And then we're gonna press down and release. Now, it just so happened that happened to be the first try. It might not always be, but as you can see, that is the combination to it. Otherwise, you just have to keep going, and you know, you knock down, like I said, from 64,000 possible combinations to 100, then down to 10, down to 8. So like, as you can see, there is some math, there is some patience, there is some feel to it, but with in a short amount of time and a little bit of practice, you should be able to find out the combination to a mystery lock that you have lying around the house, that instead of buying a new lock, you can take a couple extra minutes and find out the combination. Or you can just buy another lock with a combination on it. Alright, so that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate the views, and hopefully I'll see you on another video. Thanks. Bye.